Every 10 years, the census congressional district boundaries get redrawn. Often it is a process in which legislatures band together to choose their voters by withdrawing artfully and sometimes oddly shaped maps. Maryland's legislature has passed new congressional maps. The governor has vetoed their design, and the legislature overrode him. Next, the courts will have their say. Phil, how should the courts rule?
Well, here's the thing. When you look at the state, when you go by county, and when you look at the way the population is in the state of Maryland, we really should have 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats, or at least districts that are favorable that way. Why is that? If you really look back before, I guess, into the early 2000s, that's really what you had. And Maryland has actually only become much more Republican. Now, remember in 2010, the legislature went absolutely crazy. They drew a pterodactyl on the map. They included a portion of Montgomery County in with Allegheny County and just beyond. So hopefully what the court will do is something reasonable so that we keep communities of interest together. That means the folks in Carroll County, which is a nice agricultural area, are not included, divided, and then included partially with Montgomery County, where you have a lot of people who work for government and have a much more urban lifestyle. Keep communities of interest together. That's even more important than the partisan split, but that's really where we should be.
Nancy, are the congressional maps fair?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Well, I'm asking you.
I think we won an award nationally for John Sarbanes' district as the most gerrymandered district in the country. We may retain that award this time around. You can litigate all you want, but the courts aren't going to decide. They're going to say, did you follow the rules? And the rules are what they did. They appointed a commission. They went through a process. They did very carefully. Then the governor adopted the plan that the governor wanted, and then he got outvoted, right? To the victor goes the spoils. It's going the opposite way in other states. Depends on what team you're on. So, you can spend money on lawyers to litigate this to make your point, but any challenge is going to be unsuccessful. You can look, every time the Supreme Court has been looked at this, they say, yeah, this is a mess, but we're going to send it back to the state legislatures to deal with it. And so you get what you got here in Maryland.
Bill, let me follow up on Nancy's point about other states. And if Republican states maximize the size of their Republican congressional delegations, why shouldn't Democrats in Maryland do the same thing?
Well, look, I'm not arguing against the idea of Democrats wanting to help themselves. That's part of what happens when you have a political process, and it should be political because that gives the voters the best opportunity to weigh in, even if the weighing in is indirect. However, that goes back to what I was saying before. It's communities of interest. Now, I've been outspoken and the only one saying this in that there never should be redistricting. I've always said districts should be permanent. They should be based on physical boundaries and political boundaries as in state lines, county lines, and that way the communities of interest would always stay together. In absence of being able to do that, because I know they say you have to do it, then when you keep those groups together, there will be times where districts shift more Democrat. There'll be times they shift more Republican. But overall, the people who live in that district will have a member who says, okay, I've got farmers in Carroll County and part of Frederick or Hartford, however it is. I'm going to represent that interest as opposed to, well, I'm from Montgomery County. Forget all the people up there above the county line.
Well, that's interesting. I think the courts had something to say about that a number of years ago with Baker v. Carr, and we now have population as a standard for districts.